Let me tell you something that can completely change how you see money, but only if you're willing to listen carefully. Because the richest people in the world are not rich by luck. They follow patterns. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. 75% of the world's richest people are entrepreneurs. 15% are investors. 7% inherited wealth. 3% are athletes, artists, or celebrities. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. 0% rely only on a salary. Let that sink in for a second, because this leads to a truth that schools, jobs, and even governments rarely explain. If you don't own something, you are the one being owned. Entrepreneurs own businesses. Investors own assets. Heirs own capital. Celebrities own rare skills. Ownership is the common denominator, and if you miss this part, nothing else matters. Now, before I show you how to build ownership, even if you're starting with almost nothing, I want you to imagine something. It's 1998. You've just started investing. The internet is exploding. New companies are appearing overnight. Everyone believes they've found the future. So you do what everyone else is doing. You put your money into tech stocks, not because you understand them, but because they sound exciting. And for a while, it works. Your portfolio keeps rising. People call you smart, maybe even a genius. But then comes the year 2000. Markets collapse in a way never seen before. The Nasdaq crashes nearly 80%. Even the richest people on Earth lose billions. Friends of mine lost fortunes in days. And even though I expected a crash, my own investment still took a hit. Here's the strange part. The internet was the future. The problem wasn't the technology, it was the hype. And that's why I need you to pay attention to what's happening today. Because when I look at today's market, I feel that same energy again. This time, it's not the internet, it's artificial intelligence. People are calling it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And maybe it is. Or maybe it's history rhyming again. As legendary investor John Templeton once said, the 4 most expensive words in investing are, "This time it's different." Right now, the entire stock market is being driven by just 7 companies: Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Apple, Tesla, and Nvidia. Together, they represent more than 1/3 of the entire S&P 500. That means even if you own a single index fund, your money is already riding on them. And these companies are locked in an AI arms race. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being spent every year on chips, data centers, energy, and infrastructure. This spending is powerful. It fuels growth. It lifts markets. But here's the risk most people ignore. If expectations collapse, the same companies lifting your portfolio today could drag it down tomorrow. And this is exactly why hype without discipline is dangerous. So how do you grow wealth without becoming a victim of bubbles? You manage money the way the top 1% does. That's where the 25, 15, 50, 10 rule comes in. This system works at any income level, because wealth is not about how much you earn, it's about what you do with what you earn. The first 25% of your income goes to growth. This is the money that works for you, not spending, not status, assets. Most people get paid, pay bills, and waste the rest. That's why they stay stuck. The system makes you feel rich for a week and broke by the end of the month. Real growth means buying things that increase in value over time. Index funds, real estate, high-income skills, businesses. And here's something most people underestimate. Starting early beats starting big. Someone who invests a little early often ends up far ahead of someone who invests more but later. That's compound growth. Time is the real multiplier. The next 15% goes to stability. Most people don't have an income problem, they have a fragility problem. One unexpected bill and everything falls apart. Your stability fund should cover several months of essential expenses. It must be safe, accessible, and boring. This is what allows you to stay calm when markets panic. Next comes 50% for essentials: housing, food, transportation, insurance. Not ego spending, not lifestyle inflation. Many high earners live paycheck to paycheck because they try to look rich instead of becoming rich. True wealth is invisible. And finally, 10% for rewards. Without enjoyment, discipline doesn't last. This money is for experiences, travel, hobbies, and life. When it runs out, you wait. This balance keeps you consistent without burnout. So when bubbles form, in tech, AI, crypto, or anything else, you don't panic. You keep investing automatically. You diversify. You increase your income. Because bubbles don't destroy disciplined investors, they create opportunities for those who stay calm. If you want to keep learning how the top 1% actually builds wealth, not through hype but through ownership, make sure you're subscribed. And before you go, there's one more layer to this that most people completely overlook. Because understanding ownership is powerful, but understanding where to place that ownership is what separates survivors from winners. Let's go back to that AI arms race for a moment. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being deployed every year, not gradually, not cautiously, aggressively. And when that much money moves that fast, two things always happen. First, innovation accelerates. Second, mistakes get amplified. This is exactly what we saw during the dot-com era. Capital flooded in before business models were proven. Stock prices exploded before profits existed. And when reality finally caught up, valuations collapsed. AI is different in one important way. These companies already dominate the global economy. They have real revenue, real users, real infrastructure. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even great companies can be terrible investments if you overpay them. And that's where most investors get trapped. They don't lose money because the future fails. They lose money because expectations were priced too high, too early. Right now, much of the AI economy is built on a closed loop of money. One company funds another. That company buys infrastructure from a third. That third reinvests back into the first. On paper, it looks like explosive growth. In reality, profits are still thin or non-existent. This doesn't mean AI is a scam. It means timing, valuation, and discipline matter more than ever. And this brings us back to you, because your job is not to predict the future. Your job is to survive every version of it. That's why the most intelligent move right now is not to chase the hottest AI stock. It's to structure your finances so that no single narrative can destroy you. This is where diversification stops being boring and starts being powerful. Broad market index funds keep you exposed to innovation without betting everything on one outcome. Real assets like real estate and commodities protect you when valuations reset. Skills protect your income when technology reshapes jobs. And liquidity protects your psychology when fear takes over markets. Remember, the biggest enemy in investing is not volatility, it's panic. People don't lose money at the top, they lose money after the fall when fear forces bad decisions. That's why the 1% doesn't react, they rebalance. They already planned for chaos. So when bubbles burst, and they always do, they don't ask what went wrong, they ask what's on sale. And this mindset is available to anyone willing to think long-term. You don't need insider information. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to be early. You need structure, consistency, and emotional control. Because in the end, wealth isn't built by predicting the next big thing. It's built by owning productive assets for a very long time. Through hype, through crashes, through uncertainty. That's how entrepreneurs think. That's how investors survive. That's how the 1% stays ahead quietly. So if there's one thing I want you to remember from this entire video, it's this: trends come and go, technology evolves, markets rise and fall, but ownership, disciplined ownership, is timeless. If you want to keep learning how to build that kind of wealth step by step, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.